Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to another session of Hablemos, conversations about inclusion, leadership, and purpose with talented humans. I am your host, Carolina Veira, and today I have the pleasure of bringing to this space my dear friend, Alejandra Alanis. She is connecting from LA, and she is the vice president for Alpha LA, as well as a manager at RSM, and she's here to give us all the details of her life in LA and also her life at RSM. How are you, Ale?
Doing well. Thank you for having me.
How's the fantastic LA doing? Are you loving it? Are you loving every minute of it?
Yes, can't complain about the weather, but we do pay that sun tax here.
I know. We kind of do the same here in Florida as you have experienced, and it's a tax worth paying. I
Yes.
think. I think. So, Ale, your story. You were here to learn more about you and your story. So why don't you go ahead and tell us and share a little bit about you, who you are, what do you do, what's your story? Tell us more about Ale.
Yes, and I'll start by saying that every time someone asks me like, "Oh, where are you from?" and I say, "Oh, I live in LA." I actually did not grow up in LA, so I always feel weird saying I'm from LA or live in LA. I'm actually from a small town in Eastern Washington, raised by humble Mexican immigrants, small town. And I actually had my older brother who was the go-getter. And I always say that those first individuals to go to college are just rock stars. I don't know how they do it. I was fortunate to have my older brother who guided me and helped me pave the way for me to be able to go to the University of Washington. At the University of Washington, I learned about Alpha. It was a culture shock to me to be at a university filled with diversity because I grew up in a small town, 19,000 people, where the majority of people were Latino. And so I say I grew up in Little Mexico. So going to the University of Washington was a culture shock, but that's where I fell in love with diversity. But I was also very fortunate to have Alpha there, where I still felt like I had my community and I didn't feel completely isolated. It was through Alpha that I got my first internship at Deloitte. I did a rotational internship in audit, tax, and consulting, and I ended up being placed in the one spot where I didn't have to be a CPA. I was just ready, eager to get started on my career. So I started my career in advisory, doing internal IT controls testing. So I do IT SOX, and that's what I've been doing for the last 9 years of my career.
Wow. Audit and tax. Those are not very, I don't know if a lot of people say, hey, I just want to do taxes, but I know it's more on the IT side. How has been your experience at RSM working for a big firm? Was it challenging? Has it been challenging? What are the biggest lessons and the biggest success that you've achieved there?
Yes. So I'll say I do IT SOX, and the reason I stayed in that career was because 10 years ago, we didn't have too many remote jobs, right? It was always, you were in the office every day. So believe it or not, I've always been in a hybrid mode. It's always been, I had the ability to just work from the office, work from home, travel. And I think, as we start working on figuring out what we want our career to look like and our job to look like, we have to evaluate what's important to us. And for me, having that flexibility was important. It was stable. I feel like sometimes we go in thinking, oh, I want a job to meet everything. And we have to understand that that's not always the case, right? Life is about trade-offs. And so for me, being in that environment where I was able to talk to individuals on a continuous basis, like it's part of my job. I'm always talking. It's a professional services where they're providing a service. It's not like a car manufacturer, right, where they're manufacturing cars. Like, it's professional services. It's our people. And I love that piece about it. I loved the client interactions, solving complex projects. It's very difficult because you have to manage so many things, but it's never a dull moment.
No, and dealing with different personalities, right? I think that's one of the things that I don't know if it has equipped you to do the job and wear the different hats that you wear today, or was your personality that way? Were you always so outgoing and welcoming and warming? Because that's the impression that I got the first time that I met you in LA. It's like, oh, you always have the right attitude and a big smile on your face. So what was it? Were you always that way, or did you learn to be that way?
I will say I'm very fortunate that I had parents that were always so grateful to even be in America. I feel like sometimes they're, it's clearly not perfect, but they really said, like, you are very fortunate to be here, like, make the most out of it. So I think having parents that were very optimistic, go-getters, really helped me in thinking that mindset of, like, the growth mindset, the abundance mindset. Like, even though my parents didn't have a lot when we were growing up, like, we grew up in a little trailer. It was in the middle of nowhere. It wasn't a trailer park. It was a trailer with no one around us. But I didn't think that we were poor. It was that mindset of, I never realized that, being on reduced breakfast meant that we were low income. And so I think that mindset was very important. And then when I started my career at Deloitte, my intern class, just to give you a little background on that, they decided to run a half marathon during the internship. And I was just blown away. And I think that when you're around certain individuals, you just get inspired and motivated, and you say, like, why not me? Like, I can do that too. And so I think positioning myself in places that just made you believe that there was more possibilities is the reason why I continue to just push forward, continue to place myself in environments where I feel like I can accomplish whatever I want. And, we just saw each other at Latitude, and that's exactly what I took away from it, right? Like, the amazing individuals that were there that were saying, like, I can do anything. Right. And so that's important, who you surround yourself and who you're getting that energy from, because people either add or take away energy.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So important to do like an audit of who's in our life, who's our friends, who are our friends, and who are our confidants, and who are we learning and listening to, right?
Yes.
That's what makes us or breaks us. And I love the work that you do in all instances, the many hats you wear, but you also obviously need time to recharge, because you have to give out energy, and you're connecting with so many people, but you also need time for you and to recharge and to feel good and to take a break. I'm guessing that's why the job is the right fit for you, because it allows you to travel. So you always had this vision of living a little bit in Miami and just experience it all. And you did it recently. You were here in Miami. I want you to tell us more about what your vision was, what your dream was, living a month here, and how did you determine that it was the right time to do it?
Yes. I'll say the biggest move I've ever made is moving to LA. And it was hard. So I grew up, I'm very close to my family, even though some people would think I'm not, since I don't see them as much as I would like to, but I do talk to them constantly. When I went to the University of Washington, it was a great opportunity. I fell in love with diversity, but everything about it felt like a hotel, and it didn't feel like a home. And so I decided to move to LA. There's a longer story behind that, but I decided to take a chance. And the way that I thought about it was, I have big goals and I want to accomplish so much. And it's unfortunately not going to happen in Eastern Washington because those opportunities are not there. And it's not going to happen in Seattle because I'm not close to my cultura. So fast forward, I've always been very mindful about my finances, about how I'm living. Just a little other story, but my parents divorced when I was a teenager. And so that was always my motivation to, like, be independent, be emotionally strong, and take care of all of that. And so I have always lived in, like, the cheapest apartment that I could find. When I was 28, I even shared a room with a roommate in Culver City here in LA. When the landlord came by, we'd had to disassemble the bed and put it under her bed. So they didn't know. So sorry. But I was doing the most to, like, save money for the down payment on a home. And I ended up purchasing a home during the pandemic. I rent out 2 of the rooms. So I found the girls on Facebook, and I told myself, if I don't like this living situation, I'm in my 30s now, I could potentially go rent somewhere else. but I like my roommates. I only see them for a few seconds. It's worked out very well. Like I pay what some people like less than what some people pay for rent, because it's evenly split and it's paying towards a mortgage. But basically, I'm 33 years old. I really wanted to travel during the pandemic or like be somewhere, but my partner wasn't really up for it. And so that moment came where I was like, you know what? I have to do it for me. And I want to go and I want to live my rich little life, even if it's just for a month. And so even one of my friends wanted to come, and I was like, you know what? I think I really just need this for myself because I've lived in rooms with someone else. I've shared space. I have other friends that say, hey, Ale, I love what you're doing, but I would personally never do it. But the inconvenience for me is because I really wanted that stability. And so I was like, you know what, Caro, I'm going to Miami. It's something I've always wanted to do. I've never experienced it. I heard so many great things. And I rented, a pretty expensive Airbnb because I have the means, Like,
and you wanted the experience, right? You wanted to live that life, right?
Yeah, to see, hey, is it something that I could potentially see myself living there long term? Or was it, hey, I did this, it was great, but I miss LA,
Do you miss the food? I love the tacos in LA and everything, the variety. There's so many things that you can get in LA, but especially the Mexican food is just amazing there. Oh my God, yes. I'm in love with it.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things I like to do on the weekends, it's super simple, but just go get a cafecito, explore different coffee shops. I mean, now, so the home I purchased is in East LA. So I mentioned how I was missing my cultura. I'm like, here, I go to the coffee shop and they have a mural of La Virgen de Guadalupe, and I'm like, I'm home.
This is where I belong. Yeah. So do you feel that once you moved out, you move away from Washington, and do you lose something or do you gain something by moving to LA?
You're gonna make me so emotional, Caro, because I've been doing a lot of reflecting on like, hey, what is it that I'm doing? Like, what's my goal? And I got called out for referencing a lot of movies, but the movie A Million Miles Away came out with the astronaut that went to space, and it was so beautiful. And I happened to watch it by myself, and they do talk about like, what's your goal? Like, do you know your purpose? And I thought to myself, I'm like, why am I thousands of miles away from family? Like, am I doing the most? Is this what I should be doing? But I keep telling myself, like, it is, like, this is where I need to be. This is where I need to, from a career standpoint, but that's not it. Like a community, really elevating our people to thrive and just let people know that there are more opportunities. I'm really big when it comes to financial health and everything, as I mentioned, and we've even had conversations on how do you build generational wealth through home ownership. And those are the things that we want to amplify so that more people can feel that there are growth opportunities and, that the possibilities really are endless with having the right mentorship tools and everything,
And I know of the work that you do through Alpha and obviously different spaces. What do you feel that it's your biggest accomplishment when you're mentoring people, when they actually see themselves in you or see the possibilities through you? What's your biggest accomplishment there?
I think paving the way for the younger generation. I was fortunate to have an older brother, and I tell him I would be lost without you. And that's what I want to show people, like I'm their big sister, to like help guide them. We are doing a lot right now. We have an amazing board. Last year, I was like running around trying to like revive it, because I knew that we needed to have the mentorship and the opportunities, and not just for me, but having individuals and experts share like their experience, right? Like getting certified financial planners to talk to our community, getting other individuals to share their knowledge, getting executives to tell me how I can continue to grow and thrive. So that was super important to me. More recently too, I learned about supplier diversity and the programs that Fortune 500 companies have through a fellowship that I was part of. And that got me thinking, we have a big say too on how we spend our money, right? Where are we investing it? And so at the beginning of January, we did start a monthly cafecito because I like my coffee, So we pick a Latino coffee shop and we support them. We bring about 30 individuals. We highlight them in our Instagram. I didn't know as many amazing Latina executives earlier, but I'm starting to build my community. And so there's only so many hours in the day. And sometimes you want to grab brunch, chit chat. We started a quarterly Women of Alpha brunch where we pick a Latino business and we support them. And so I love, it's a win-win. We have some amazing food. We support the business. Sometimes the owners will be able to share their story. And that gets us also thinking now more than ever, it's important to not just have that one income stream, right? Because you never know. We just saw what happened with the economy right now. So thinking, okay, do I invest in real estate? Do I potentially invest in a business, right? To really diversify and be able to thrive even during disasters like, during the next crisis.
No, absolutely. And even if when times are not going the way that they should be according to our plans, good times, bad times, it's always a good idea to start thinking about the passive income or other source of income, or maybe just taking a chance on you, right? You can become an entrepreneur. You can own something. You can own a shop. You can sell something, or you can offer your services. You are also very well equipped. And when I say you, it's all of us. We're very well equipped because we have had this professional careers for so long that we can share our services with the world. And why not?
Yes.
What is your purpose, Ale? And I know that we've touched bits and pieces here and there, but more than anything, what's your purpose? What's your legacy? What's your why?
So it was at Latitude, and I'm going to take some words away from the speaker. She said, when you have an apple, you can count how many seeds it has when you open it up. But when you plant a seed, you can't count how many apples came from that one seed. And I'd like to think that in a way of like my legacy of just like planting seeds all around for people to really meet their potential and really thrive and be happy with the life that they have built. I think that's my biggest thing. And I will say, sometimes I'm like, go, go, go. And I'm rushing for things. And I've heard so many people say, be patient. But there's two things that have happened in my life where sometimes I act in a sense of urgency, because when I was in my early 20s, I hit a deer, and it's a miracle that I survived. And it just happened. Luckily, soy chaparrita, so nothing happened. Like if I was taller, I don't know if we'd be having this conversation. And then in 2015, right before moving to LA, I actually had a mental health issue where I couldn't be at work. I had to go live with my family. It happened out of nowhere. We can't explain it. Internally, maybe I was mortified of moving, and that's what caused it. I've been okay ever since then, but I had to fight to get my life that I was so used to. And so I do think that because of those things, I do feel like, tomorrow's not promised. So we have to do the best we can. I think it's great to set goals, but really take it one day at a time.
And to stop and smell the roses, right? I was having a conversation with another friend, and it was exactly that. It's sometimes we're, like you mentioned, we're go, 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 and we don't stop, and we don't appreciate the process, because everything is a process. Even you with your different hats and running around and doing different things. But the fact that you can still sit back and say, oh my God, look at everything that I've accomplished, right? Everything that I've been through and the lessons learned, that's so important.
Yes.
I love that, Ale. And you have such a beautiful energy and such a way of doing things and expressing things. Now, what's next for Ale? Like now you moved to Miami for a month. You're still in love with LA. You're still, doing your thing and at RSM and our Alpha and being a daughter, being a sister. But what do you envision for 2024?
Alignment, I think, is going to be a big word for me in 2024. Understanding what's next. I keep putting myself in places, Gato, where there's just new goals, new opportunities, as you mentioned. Like there's a possibility to start your own business or something else. But I also do say, in your role, whatever role you're currently in, it's important to think that you're there like long term, right? Like in case you are, because sometimes we're at careers and we're like, we're going to quit next year or something. And that's not always the best mindset. So really whatever I'm focusing on today, I am trying to do my absolute best. And if a new opportunity comes up, I'll take it. So I think be prepared, be ready. And I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I'm in the East Coast. Maybe I'm here. I'm excited. And I'm just keeping an open mind. And as always, keeping faith to see what's next.
I love that. And you said something very powerful there. We just have to be ready, right? And we have to not, I guess what you're trying, how I translate what you just said, it's do the things the best we can. Not necessarily thinking, oh, it's only going to be for a month or for a year or for 3 years, whatever the time. Time is not important here. It's just how much love you put into the things that you do, how much passion, what's your intention, what are you learning, how are you helping others. I think that's what the true and the real value is,
Yes.
with everything that we do. Now,
Yes.
Ale, and for you, what's your message to the community? What do you want to tell them, and to the 18-year-old who's listening, or the 52-year-old who's like restarting their careers? What are you telling them?
Surround yourself with the right people. Don't be too hard on yourself. We're always trying to figure out, I think, continue to have a growth mindset, be evolving, and continue learning new skills. If you work on becoming a better leader, you're going to take that wherever you go. And so continue to build your skill sets, practice public speaking, for example, even if you mess up a lot, and take care of your health and take care of yourself first, because sometimes we don't do that, but it's important because we are the number one priority, and focus on health and yourself before, like they say, you can't fill someone else's cup unless you fill yours first.
Is your cup filled?
Yes, I'm working on filling it up a little bit more. One of the things that we discuss is challenges in being a leader sometimes. And it's hard, I feel like sometimes, especially if you care so much and want to do so much more for your community, that you have a hard time saying no to things. But we have to be intentional and focus on what we want to excel at, or else we're just going to do like a half, job at everything.
And tell me a little more about being a leader. What do you think it's the biggest, what has been your biggest challenge, your biggest success about being a leader?
It's something that I'm working on. After the event that we just attended, Latitude, I picked up the book, The Self-Aware Leader by John C. Maxwell, and I realized sometimes you have to remember, a leader doesn't come with like a title. It could be at any level. And through the book, I read a page that says sometimes you can look at someone and glamorize and be like, oh my gosh, she's such an amazing leader. It's so great. But we have a difficult time. I don't know what it is about our like chemistry or whatnot, that like we have a hard time seeing that in ourselves. And I was on the plane reading this, and I'm not going to lie, I like went to the restroom and like teared up a bit, because I feel like sometimes I'm so hard on myself, and I have to take a step back and think like, hey, don't be so hard on yourself. Like I want to be there for my team more, but I want to do this for the community. And so I'm learning how to say no so I can be more intentional and feel like I'm giving my team the time that they deserve. And so that really hit me on thinking like, I'm not a leader yet, but there are things that I'm doing that make me a leader, and to take it a little bit easier on myself.
And Ale, I would say you are a leader. Maybe you are not the leader that you want to be, a few years from today, but you are a leader because you are sharing and caring for others and taking care of others, and there's a sense of responsibility towards your community. So I think we all play that leadership role at different levels and different instances. It's what's the type of leader that you want to become. That's a different story. Maybe that's because you have such high expectations about that leader that you want to be. That's where the, oh my God, the being hard on yourself,
Yes.
that's where it comes from. But I will have to say, you are a leader. I've seen you in action. I know the type of leader that you are, and you're very caring and empathetic, and I know that you want the best for everyone, and that's why you keep pushing. I mean, you are revamping Alpha LA, and I've seen it because it's a beauty, and the beauty of it too is that people see you as a leader, and then you get all these support from other people, and it's beautiful to see. And you're doing beautiful things in LA, and we couldn't be prouder of who you are. I know I'm very proud to know you and to see you in action, and to see your good heart and your good intentions. So kudos to you for the work that you do.
And
Thank
God,
you.
it's because of people like you, it's just amazing. I think the community part of it, like how can we not do this when what we're doing is forming connections, relationships, and being in a position to be able to help others, right? Like if you know that your friend got laid off, connecting you to the right person, like it is all about community. And the more we work together along with our allies, the more we will thrive and live those happy lives that,
Exactly.
we can have. Mhm.
I love that, and thank you for saying everything that you've said today, and sharing and caring. Yeah. So Ale, it's been a pleasure to have you here. It's always a pleasure. I could continue talking to you forever, but I know we're right there on time. But thank you for your heart. Thank you for opening your doors, the doors of Alpha, the doors of your home, of LA, to all of us. I love the connection between the East Coast and the West Coast that we have, and hopefully we'll see you here soon. I know there's a plan. Maybe you're gonna spend a couple more days here in Miami soon. So looking forward to spending time with you, Miale.
Yes, thank you, Caro, for everything that you do and the connections that you've developed. You're helping with that coast to coast,
Right?
amplifying the message. Thank you so much.
I love that. I love that. That's what we're here to do, to make connections and to make a bigger impact. So thank you, Ale. And thank you everybody for tuning in and for connecting and learning more about Alejandra Alanis. Don't forget to connect with her on LinkedIn. She is very easy to find, Alejandra Alanis. And she will be there in case you need anything related to RSM, Alpha, becoming an entrepreneur, who knows? Everything, IT. I know
Yeah,
she's always willing to lend a hand. So thank you, Ale, and thank you everybody for tuning in. We'll see you next time.
thank you.
Bye bye.